Hello everybody and welcome to Adobe Live. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land which we are creating and streaming from today and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. My name is Flynn. It's a bit of a solo stream today because there's been some exciting news from Adobe. We want to check it out. We're going to do a bit of a quick kind of coverage of the new tool. So a bit of an experimentation kind of style stream. Say hi if you're in the chat and let me know if you've had a turn to play this out. So let's get into it. Here's the news. So Photoshop has released the new Generative Expand workflow and global language support for Firefly powered features. So this is super cool. There's a quick little demo here to kind of explain. So we've covered this in our streams a couple of times here, talking about out painting and in painting. And this is kind of a next level in terms of UI for something like this. So it's a simplified UI. In fact, I think the UI just looks so much better within Photoshop. It's a little bit bigger. The text is a little bit bigger. The buttons feel a little bit better. So that's super cool. I mean, it's still in beta, so it'll probably update even more over time. But it's looking really great, which I really like. And I'm sure a lot of designers do like their tools to look beautiful as well as be functional. So we're getting there in that regard. So this has always been something that has been possible within Photoshop, but now it's just way easier to do. And I also want to mention, just so it doesn't fly under the radar, because this is just a huge amount of effort to make something like this happen, is that Firefly powered features in Photoshop in the beta version that is now public as of like a couple of hours ago today, will also support text prompts in 100+ different languages. So that could be fantastic for everyone around the world. So there's so many different languages that are now supported. So that should be super cool. My buddy Andrew Hockredell, I think, has already done a live stream on this, playing with some of the different languages. I'm not going to touch on that today because I really want to get into this Expand, because that's something that we've covered quite a bit here on Adobe Live. So let's get stuck into it. I have an image ready to go, and so this is not a terribly exciting still image, I would say, and we're just going to explore these new features. So what you can see down here is we've got Generative Expand. You've also got different options for ratios. So if you really wanted something specific, like I really want this to be a square, then you can crop things to like a specific ratio. We're just going to leave it like this. You get the crop tool. You can either click the crop tool, or with it you can click the artwork like so, and then you just click to expand. So we're just going to bring it out, and as always you can just click generate and it will generally do a really good job of analyzing the image and expanding your artwork. I don't think I've found better results by putting a prompt in, so I usually just leave it blank, but you could also experiment with things like expand the landscape, or add some sky, or add the top of the mountain if you wanted it to tell it to kind of do something specific. We're going to let it ride today, and we're just going to click generate and see what happens. So as a reminder, this is in the Photoshop beta. So you either need to download the Photoshop beta, which you can do from your Creative Cloud app, or update if you already have the beta installed. I think these days I'd strongly recommend having Photoshop beta installed. There's a lot more features becoming public faster with all this sort of stuff. It's just worth having it installed and up to date, because you never know when another feature is going to come out. So there we go. So it's done a pretty good job. So yeah, pretty straightforward. And you know, it was interesting about putting together this live stream to play with it. I could do example after example of this, but the beautiful thing about this tool is that it's just super straightforward and really, really quick. So I thought that what we could do is kind of do a little bit of a dual demo thing. So this boring still image is a little bit boring because it's actually part of a video. So I've taken a screenshot. So I've taken a one still frame from this this video in Premiere Pro. I'm just going to give it a little play so you can sort of see what happens. So our buddy here is prancing up through these rocks and kind of going off frame. And so there you go, you can see it looping. Hey, by the way, as a bonus, if you want your things to loop in Premiere Pro when you're doing something short, like short pieces of content like this, you want this little box with the play button or the triangle above. If you don't have it in this little tray, you click the plus and then you just drag whatever you want into here. Super useful. And it's the same for the camera. So if you want to get a still from an image, you want the little camera. Again, it's not there by default, so you do need to press the plus and then drag it in. I find it so useful, so there you go. And you can see him kind of jumping through as we go. So I'm just going to do a couple little things in here. We're going to get rid of this audio because there actually isn't any audio, so we just don't need it there. And then it does move around a little bit. You can see if I do it really quick, you can see the camera moves quite a lot. So I'm just going to throw in a stabilizer. Warp. Hey, how about I go to the effects library first. There's a crop from before. Warp stabilizer. I don't know how good a job this is going to do, but it might help just a little bit for our final thing. So for what we're going to be doing, having a still camera is like really, really important. But for our demonstration purposes, yeah, it doesn't look like it's done a lot. Just give me a sec. I think we want no motion. I think it'll do a much better job of this. Let's see. Cool. Not perfect, but it's better. So that's good enough for me for today. Let's jump back into here. So back to our Generative Expand. So this is actually HD. So what I want to kind of demonstrate is how you can sort of cheat a little bit to turn something HD into 4K in certain circumstances. So we're going to click our Generative Expand. There's two really good ways to do this. I'm going to show off the Generative Expand way because, it just came out today. But there's also another really great way to do this, which is you go up to your canvas size. And in our case, this would be amazing because you can actually put this down the bottom. You click that bottom arrow and then everything will expand up. And you can literally put in the dimensions. So that's one way to do it. But I'm going to show the Generative Expand way. So we are going to expand out. So I want this box to be HD. So we can just play around with it. It's not like permanent. I've actually written it down because I'm terrible at remembering dimensions for things. 3840. So I'm just going to go back again. I'm going to hold down Shift because this is HD. So as long as I hold down Shift, the ratio is going to stay the same. So I'll only have to stretch this once and get it right once. It's a little bit tricky. Wish me luck because this is live. So I think it's 3840, but like I'm off by like a pixel and it's just going to really annoy me. So talk amongst yourselves. Hey, there we go. Okay. So now we have our image. Now, I actually, in this particular video example, the character or the subject is already in frame and then he kind of goes off. So I don't want it to expand down because then there's no footage down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this, hold down Shift, move it into the middle. And thanks to Smart Guides, it just snaps directly in the middle. So I know that is perfectly in the middle of my image. And then sometimes when you're trying to generate more pixels than what is there in the original image, it struggles a little bit, but we're going to just pray to the streaming gods that this works. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you'll sometimes get this error. Totally fine. This is not really about we did anything naughty or anything like that. It's just too much. So I'm just going to kind of do something like this. Again, we're just going to move this so that the image is definitely in the middle, and that's okay. And we'll just generate and see how we go again. Not enough of you cross your fingers for me. Okay, I really need your help. Yeah, let me know in chat as well. Have you tried Generative Expand? Have you tried playing around with this yet? It did only come out a couple of hours ago, but maybe some of our US friends, maybe you've had a turn. Okay, there we go. So that's pretty cool. But it's not 4K, is it? So we can just keep going, which is really cool. Did I hold down Shift when I did that before? Oh, I may not have. That would have been very, very silly of me. I will regret that a lot. And it is 4.0. So I'm just trying to get it perfect. Okay. I don't think I held down Shift before, which is quite a mistake. So it might not be perfectly 4K, but you get the idea. I could go back and change it, but it'll just make the live stream longer. But yeah, you really want to hold down Shift so that your aspect ratio just is exactly the same if you're doing it in this way. Like I said, the easier way is probably to do the canvas size and just change it. Oh, there we go. That's pretty cool. We've got some sky, which is really lovely. So that's pretty cool. As always, you have 3 options every time you generate an image using Firefly, so you can just find your best one. That's weird. I think I like the original one. I think that's, or maybe the second one. Anyway, doesn't matter. So we've got this image. What we're going to do is we're going to export it. So you go to File, and I'll find Export. I do Export as. Lots of different ways to do this, of course. I like doing it this way because you can check and see if your aspect ratio is right, and it's just a lot more options, and I'm old school. I would always export something like this as a PNG instead of a JPEG. We've got our width correct, but the height's not quite right. I think we're off by a couple of pixels, but again, for today's, I'm just going to copy that because we might need it. For today's demo, it doesn't need to be perfect. So I'm going to go new one. Obviously, I did a couple of little tests before we went live today. So that's what's there. So this is pretty close to 4K. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump back into Premiere, and we are going to find our little image. Where are we? New one, I think. Yeah, I tested this out with a couple of different scenarios. I found this one, even though the camera's a little bit wobbly, I found this to be a pretty good example. All right, so here we go. So we've got this. So this is too big. So we've opened this project in HD, but we actually want to get it to a 4K resolution. So that's why this is all cropped in, right? If we take this off, if we hide this layer, this is our original. But we've added all this real estate, and it's smack bang right in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to sequence settings, and I'm going to change it to, remember when I copied that thing before? That's why I did it. And the other one is, I think I did perfectly get that, but the dimensions are just a bit off because I wasn't holding down shift. And that should be fine. Going to get this little warning. You just go, that's cool. We're just playing around. And look at that. Okay, cool. So now what's going to happen is this video is hovering in the middle, but remember we expanded everything up. So obviously we need to bring the video down. So the way I like to do this is, and by the way, I'm not a pro at Premiere at all. So if I do something and there's a better way to do it, I would love to hear it. What opacity did I just turn down? Because it wasn't the one I want. So I want to take the opacity down for my, either of them really, but basically whatever's on top is fine. So that's my image. I want to move my video. Right? There we go. Okay, cool. I get a little bit confused in Premiere. I'm sorry. Wait, that is in the middle, so it should be sweet. And the screenshot I took was of the first frame. So obviously I want to line up the first frame with the first frame person. So let's go here. We're just going to drag this, and we might get lucky. If we did it all right, it should just be crisp, and it should just pop in like that. I don't know, you guys, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good, I think. Yeah? What do you think? I think it looks pretty good. Let's go back into here. So here's our frame again. We're kind of going for close enough is good enough anyway here. So just want to kind of share this kind of process. So now I'm going to bring that opacity back up, but I'm just kind of trying to remember where that box is. I could probably put guides in. Should we try to put guides in first? Show guides. So again, I'm just dragging this down so I can use this stuff. I've never used guides or rulers in After Effects, so bear with me. But I just want this to help me just a little bit, as I'm quite a novice in Premiere. So I'm going to put these guides in, and the reason is because I'm going to put the opacity back up. And what I really want to do is create, we'll get our little box, and I'm going to snap it to these guides because we're going to kind of crop this out. Do you call it cropping in Premiere? Someone help me out. I like to think so. Oh, That guide wants to be selected. No, thank you. All right. And then we're just going to go down here to inverted. Inverted. Cool. I don't want to see the guides anymore, and I want to approve that. Pretty cool, right? I think it's pretty cool. So I know that was a really quick one, but there you have it. This is pretty sweet. I've got a few more minutes, so I'm just going to do add a little bit of stuff to it. So just to recap, what's happening is we haven't changed the actual video, but because the camera is still, we can use generative fill to make it as big as we want. So you can make something that's still, that is shot on HD into 4K very, very quickly. Look at that. It's been 26 minutes or something like that. Not even that. And it's pretty cool. So it's pretty interesting, right? So even if you're imagine if you had you have footage in HD that is static, or you only have an HD camera. You could set it up as long as it stays still, then you know that you could actually expand things out into 4K, which is pretty neato, I think. So let's just make it a little bit more fancy, add a little bit more realism to this. So we're going to nest these two. Again, might be better ways to do this sort of stuff. I'm not sure, but this is the way I do it. And I got to just remember how to do a little bit of keyframing. So bear with me. I think that's how you do a keyframe. And I think we don't want to be out. That's right. And then I go over to here, right? Not completely off. And I think I do that. That's a keyframe. Yeah. And I want to kind of zoom in. I think I might want to do it the other way. Okay, let's go. So now we're moving the camera digitally. So it'd be kind of hard to tell that any of it was fake, right? Because we're adding this zoom. I think we'll do it the other way. I think the other way would be better. I want to zoom out basically as far as we can. Let's try this. So yeah, so adding a little bit of realism to the loop. Okay, so it's gone too far. Whoa, whoa, too far, buddy. Too far, buddy. What are you doing? Someone tell me how to make the keyframe right on the end without being into that black. That would be great. I'm just going to play it safe and put it there. Okay, let's try it one more time. Pretty cool. Add a little bit of music to that. Very nice. And of course, what you could also do with this technique is change horizontal footage to vertical footage. So for phone and vice versa. So maybe you've got something on your phone that has been shot in vertically. As long as the phone was still, you could use Generative Expand, a little bit of Premiere Pro, and you can make some magic happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little experiment. It was really fun for me, is getting out of my comfort zone a little bit. I love playing with these new tools. I love all the Firefly integration stuff. You can download this now. This is now public. Have a play around with it. Let me know what you think. And also you speak other languages as well. Try out the other languages that are now inbuilt into Photoshop beta. It's a very exciting time, I think. And thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time on Adobe Live. Bye.